Hey viewers, what's going on? Welcome back to the Nintendo vs Sega series. This is the Chilean Retro Gamer, and today I'm going to be playing a special Sonic arcade game called Segasonic. It's apparently just one word. Segasonic the Hedgehog, obviously for the arcade. And in here you can select three different characters. Sonic, Ray the Squirrel, the Flying Squirrel, and Mighty. As you can tell, in here, instead of using an arcade stick, you use a ball in order to move. And as you can see, the plot is actually nothing out of normal. In here, Robotnik uses one of his machines in order to get you trapped and take you to his island. So basically, the main objective here is to escape from Robotnik's traps and get to the levels by being quick enough, because you have to be running all the time and jumping all the time as well. So this is where our adventure is going to take place, Robotnik's island, or Eggman's island. And as you can tell, I have to keep escaping from, well, fireballs, from ice, from icicles, from landslides, a lot of traps. So you have to be constantly escaping. This is basically an action game based on chasing. I have to escape quickly by pressing the arrow as the game is indicating. And as you can tell, you don't have so much time to think what to do, because you have to be escaping constantly from the traps, in this case fire. Here you have to do some climbing. The perspective could remind you probably of Sonic 3D on the Genesis and the Saturn. But trust me, the gameplay is quite different. Actually, the controls are really complicated to deal with, to be honest with you. In the first levels you don't have so much travel in general, but it's really complicated to control the character. And as you can see, I actually thought I got more rings. 34% is very few. I don't know, I'm pretty sure I got at least half of the rings. But it doesn't matter, it just helps to the game completion percentage thing. And the second area, as you can tell, is the Icy Isle. Each level is themed, basically. We deal with fire, with ice, with landslides, with different environments, of course. So yeah, this time you have to be escaping constantly from icicles. And in here you have to be careful. I can't just run all the time, but these cubes are going to get you off the platform. You have a limited amount of energy. This time, as you can tell, pretty much, I'm using the infinite cheat. I mean the infinite energy cheats. It won't make any difference anyway, because if you run out of energy, you just have to insert another coin. But yeah, this game can be very merciless in that sense. Because if you run out of energy, I mean you can run out of energy just by falling off a pit a couple of times. So you cannot really hang in there for so long. And I failed. Right, that was weird. But yeah, as I was mentioning before, this could remind you, at least in terms of graphics or the game perspective as such, even the controls, to Sonic 3D. But the whole spirit of the game is different. It's a very straightforward game. You don't have to collect anything. You constantly have to be escaping. You have no time to think what to do or where to go. What's the most convenient strategy for you to get these parts past. There are indeed icicles following me right now, that's why I am trying to be sort of quick. And here we have some platforming, and the icicle ended up fucking me up. So yeah, the whole concept behind the game is really interesting. But again, as you can see, he's so fast that it's difficult to control sometimes. You will see that in later levels of the game, in which it is almost impossible to make a single jump without dying. And this time I got the impression I got even less rings than before, and I got almost half of them. So the third level is going to be Desert Dodge. I'm wondering what kind of trap is going to be following me throughout the entire level. Yeah, basically Robotnik activates all of these traps, and there is a sandstorm following me. And also, the sand vanishes, forcing me to jump or be careful watching my step. But in this case, in case you know you are about to fall, you can press the, or you have to press the jump button very quickly in order to avoid getting or falling off the platform. As you can tell, you have like 1 second to react and make the jump in order to avoid getting killed or avoid falling off. There are some worms. See, he goes so fast that it's difficult, and the space is very little, very narrow area for you to go through, so it's difficult to predict what's going to happen and also to react in case you have to make a jump in order to survive and not falling off. You have sand, you are forced to go through that sand area by walking slowly. So I even have the time to move to the other side and grab as many rings as I can, even if I really consider this irrelevant. Probably it will help you for the sake of score and the ranks at the end of the game itself. But it's not really a requirement for you to go on the game. So yeah, the game in itself is really short. You can beat it in less than 20 minutes. Even sucking dick, probably inserting coins all the time. Even so, you can beat the game in 20 minutes. There is a thing that I actually find kind of unfair from this game that you will see at the end of the playthrough itself. So the next area is a trap tower. Basically a castle. You have to escape from other types of traps. It's going a bit too fast. You have to make a jump very quickly, as you can tell. Look at these traps. You have to time it. Stop when necessary. You have like a couple of seconds to react before that thing following you fucks you up. Well, now I didn't time it right. But this particular part is not really that complicated. You can time it right. Just make sure not to get desperate, because it's a normal tendency to get desperate and trying to go on without waiting the necessary amount of time. Alright, those boxes were tempting, full of rings, but I decided not to pay attention to them. Now we're gonna do more climbing, but now avoiding some exploding mines that get exploded, you know, according to proximity. So you don't have to touch them necessarily. Just by getting closer, they explode. You have to be careful with that. And I made it to the end. Okay, we pretty much passed the first half of the game already. Landslide Limbo. Probably already passed 60% of it. There are 7 levels. We're in level 5, Landslide Limbo. This is another of the traps I mentioned at the beginning of the playthrough. Apart from the fire, the ice, a lot of castle traps. So yeah, this game is all about escaping from something all the time. Gotta catch that. Well, funny thing, if you jump off, you can actually come back in case of an accident. We have like 1 second to do that though. So yeah, landslides, big balls as well. And I'm missing the money! That was fucked up. Sometimes you cannot even see where you are gonna end up jumping to. Alright, me crashing into the wall made some rings up here. We got some fireballs, and this is pretty much the only boss battle we're gonna be dealing with throughout the entire game. Just make sure not to go to either side, because you're gonna get burned, either burned or electrocuted. But you have to be careful in the middle as well, since you see these 2 little saw blades constantly attacking you. I can't avoid getting hit. I try to avoid going to the sides, but every time I make a jump and I bounce into the enemy, ends up going to the other side, or to either of the sides. Doesn't matter. The levels are short. The game is short in general anyway. So yeah, now we are going to be dealing with probably the most annoying level in the entire game. Specifically for one or two areas that I'm going to be telling you when I get in there. And that's probably one of my main complaints about this game in terms of the controls themselves. Probably my only main complaint. So yeah, in here there is a curious thing to notice. Sonic is constantly going through the water, underwater. He doesn't need to breathe bubbles, unlike the actual Sonic games. Or the most important Sonic series. I don't want to say this is a fake Sonic game, because it's not, it's real. But yeah, you know what I am talking about. Unlike the original Sonic water levels, you don't need to breathe underwater. The whole point here is always to escape from something. In this case, on propellers. And here we have some Koopas, as you can tell. I don't know, never bothered to touch those turtles. I suppose they are enemies. That's weird. I jump in order to kill these enemies. Alright, you kill these guys by jumping on this little hole. I need to do some climbing. Here we deal with some water. The enemy throughout the entire level is water. This is the part I'm telling you about. Look at that. If you fall once, you lose energy immediately. But it's difficult to make a jump here because the controls are so crazy sometimes. That's difficult to control and to think about where do I want to jump. See, I make a jump, I try to land on the raft, but it falls into the water. See, it happens every time, and there is very little space for you to jump around. See, every time, even if I try to calculate this, I'm afraid of moving at all. See, if I move, actually I fall. It's really weird. That's definitely the hardest part in the entire game, I could say. The most unfair part for sure. So yeah, now we are going to the last area, Eggman's Tower. There's another element that I actually kind of dislike from this game. I'll be telling you when I get to the end. You will notice what I'm talking about when I get in there. Here we have some more castle traps. In here you definitely have less time than in other areas, in other attempts. You gotta time it, but again, the character in this game is difficult to control. Well, because it's Sonic anyway. I'm not saying anything new. But we can say that Sonic in this particular title is crazy and unusual. Well, in this case, you can actually jump in order to gain some time in case you are pretty much about to fall because of this chasing. Well, this time didn't work so well. We got some more traps here. Well, basically the same type of traps. And actually now, it's tougher. It got stuck for a minute. I cannot time it right. But again, I tried to stop the character and he like keeps moving. It's inevitable. Now you got some more extra space, if you will. There we go. Pretty much the same thing now, saw blades. And we're gonna do this again. You can jump in order to gain time, as I mentioned before. This time it worked. Oh my god, I wonder if playing with that ball from the original arcade machine would be easier. I really doubt it. So yeah, this is the other thing I actually don't like from this game. Here we have Eggman. You don't fight him. and you actually can get a bad ending if you don't make it on time. As you can tell, there is a timer and you have to escape the area in 20 seconds. For first timers, this could be complicated to figure out. I mean, not that complicated, but there is a very fixed pattern in terms of where you have to go. But if you have problems moving at least for a couple of seconds, you fuck up and you don't get this actual ending. And you get a game over screen with you fail. So yeah, only one try. And that was Segasonic the Hedgehog. A very weird, underrated, strange game for a lot of people. Probably many of you had no idea this existed. We characters, actually Ray and Mighty, that weren't that common. I know the most popular ones. This is a very bizarre and strange game to deal with. It is fun, but very challenging. You have to practice a lot and get used to the crazy controls in order to command this in 100%. So yeah, I think that's all what I can tell you about this game. Thanks all for watching this playthrough. I'll see you later.